In this video, we're going to show you how to assemble Skaith's Wild Hunt. These miniatures are very easy to put together and don't require any glue. However, you will need one tool, a set of clippers just like these ones here, to cut all the parts out from the frames. Now, before you do any of that, what you should do is make sure that you have a good read of the instructions that come with the kit to make sure you're familiar with how the parts go together, but also because you'll see that all the parts are numbered, and it's to help you find those parts on the frame. We're going to be starting out by building Skaith himself, and you'll notice this miniature is parts 1 through to 10. So on the frame, if we take a look, you'll see half the centaur body just here is part number 1, so we know we can start out with that part. And in fact, that is where we're going to begin. Now, to cut the parts out using the clippers, what you need to know is that the blade actually has two different sides. You've got a flat side just there, and you've got an angled side on the inside. And whenever possible, you want to make sure you've got the flat of the blade right up to the part that you're cutting out to get a nice smooth flat cut. So we're going to do that now with part number 1. So that is this one here. What you need to do, like I say, just get the flat of the blade right up next to the part that you want like that, and then just cut through like that. And it's just a matter of going all the way around, looking for all these parts where the part is connected to the frame, and just snip through like this. Just turn the clippers as you need to. Now, one thing to watch out for is more delicate parts, or sometimes these little rods, which we need later on to make the parts fit together. So when you get to those, just be careful not to cut them off, instead just cut beneath it there like that. So then we need part number 2, and that is all the way down here. So we'll cut this one out as well. First of all, snipping there, then just there next to the leg, under the foreleg there. We've got the hoof around here, and then finally there's one at the top of the body just around here. There we go. And with these two parts removed, we can now put them together. To do this, you see we've got these rods on there, and also on the other side there are some holes, and essentially just fit together. All you've got to do is line them up, taking your time to make sure they're in the right place like that. And once they start going together, just press together firmly, and there we go. So those two parts put together, we can now add the body, which is part number 5. So that's the next one. That on the frame is just around here. So here we go. So we need to cut this one out now. So with the clippers, going to start just there, and then we've only got one other contact point, which is just there. And there we go. So now we can add this part to the rest of the assembly. So for this, what we need to do is look for that rod there coming out the body, and we line that up with that hole just there. And then press together, and there we go. Now on this miniature there is actually some armour that goes around here, and that's parts 3 and 4, so that's what we're going to go for next. So part number 3 is this one just here, and we'll start with this one. So snip that one out, there we go. And then we can add this to the body, and worth noting is this little extra ridge of armour just along here, that goes at the top. So what you need to do is make sure you have it the correct way around. Again, just line that up, taking your time, and press in, and there we go. So then number 4 goes on the opposite side, and on the frame that is right here. So we'll add this one as well. Just one cut just there. And then we can add this onto the rest of the assembly. So as before, just take your time, lining that up, and then press together. And there we go. So with that done, we can now start adding some details to the top of the model. And what we're going to do is go for 3 different details here. We first of all have the shield, and that is number 7. That's right here. So let's start with that one. Clip that off. And there we go. Then we also need the hair, which is part number 8. That's this one just here. So we'll cut this out as well. There, there, and the back of this little ponytail just here. There we go. And then we need the spear. That's this one here, number 6. So this has a contact point just there, and then one down the side of the blade just there. There we go. So now we can add all these parts together as well. So first of all, let's do the shield. So this of course goes on this hand here. So what we need to do is position that around there. This goes on there like that. Notice how I'm pressing the hand together with the shield, not the body. It's just this pressing here to get that to fit so I don't break anything. Then we have the hair, which goes onto the back of the head. And for this, what you need to do is just make sure that you put your finger against the faceplate and then press together like that. So again, so as not to damage anything. There we go. And then we've got the spear. This one fits into the back of the body just here. So a little bit fiddly to get your hands in for this one. So just to get your finger in there. And then press in, and there we go. And there we are. So now we're ready to move on to the next part, which is the base assembly. And this uses part number 9. That's this one right here. So let's cut the base out. When you're doing the base, it actually helps to turn it around like this. and then cut through on this side. There we go. And we also need a small piece of grass, which is actually part number 10, and that's this one here. So we're going to start with this into the base. So let's get that cut out. So we can put it down into the base, and this goes in the hole in the middle. So that's that central one there. So this goes in there like that. And the final part is to put the rest of the assembly into this hole just here. Now when you're doing this, it helps to hold the model by its foreleg. There we go, and just gently press it down. And there we go, the first model is fully built. The second miniature to build is Althane, who is the Kernathi armed with a bow, and for this miniature we need to start out with part 11 and go all the way through to number 15. First of all though, we need 11 and 12, so let's start out by cutting those two out. And number 11 is this quite strange piece here. It's just a leg and some leaves. So let's cut this out first of all, snipping through there, and then underneath this peg, which we'll need for the base later on. So there we go. Now the second part is her body, and that's this one here, number 12, so we'll cut this one out as well. First of all, snipping through just there, and then above the arm. And now we can put these two parts together. So to do this, what we need to do is just line up this rod just here, along with the leg. So it goes just there, and then press them together. And there we go. So the next part we need then is the main part of the body, and that is this one just here, number 13. So let's cut this one out. We need to start out by clipping at the back of this hand, and then underneath the arm, so just there. And we've got above here, there we go. And there's two more, one at the front of the leg, and then one at the front of the hair. So just there. There we go. Now this part on its own doesn't actually fit onto the rest of the assembly, so we need to cut out the next part as well, which is number 14, and that is the quiver just here. So we'll snip this out too, and there we go. So the quiver fits into the back of this larger part of the body, actually goes in just here, and you'll feel it kind of slots all the way down, but this rod then comes through the front there, which matches into the rest of the assembly that we've got here. So what we need to do is just line those up, press them together, and there we go. All we need now is the base. Now the base is this one just here, it's number 15. So as before, we'll turn the frame around to get easier access to these points where it's connected to the frame. There we go, so just there, finally, just there. And with that removed, we can now put the miniature into the base. Now for this, what we need to do is just orientate it the correct way around, which is with that very small notch in the base there. These leaves have a lower down bit at the back there, which goes in line with it. So it actually goes in there. And what you need to do is make sure you grip it by these leaves to force it down so that you don't damage the main miniature. But there we go, the model is built. The third miniature to build is Carthaean Hunt Caller, and this miniature starts out with part 16 and goes through to 19. But first of all, we have to cut out 16, 17 and 18, so let's start out with that. First of all, we need number 16, and that is the lower part of the body just here. So first of all, cutting just there, then beneath these pegs, so just there, and also just there. And finally, we've got to cut underneath this arm, so right there. There we go. Next up we need 17, that's very close to it, that's the upper part of the body just here. So we've got two contact points to cut through here, first of all at the end of the horn, so just there, and then above the arm down here. Now these two parts won't stay together on their own, we need another one, and that's what the next one is, number 18. It's this dagger right here, so we've got to cut this off because like in the previous miniature with the quiver, the pin on this one is what holds the two halves of the body together. So there we go. So we're going to start out by putting this into the back of the upper body, lower body rather. That is this one just here, and it goes in there. It's being a little bit fiddly there like that, and there's actually a little notch towards the bottom of the body there where the knife fits into. So what you do is just push it down like that so that fits snugly in there. And then with that rod pointing through just there, we're able to put the front of the body onto it as well. So that goes like that. And there we go. So with that done, all we need to do now is cut out the base, and the base for this miniature is number 19. It's this one right here. So we'll cut this out too, cutting through that point there, that one there, and then finally we've got one just there. There we go. So now we can put the assembly into the base, and the larger rocks there, they go at the back. So what we need to do is just position it this way around, and then very carefully push down, and I'm always putting the pressure on the actual legs, so I'm not holding the body because we might damage them around about there. So hold the legs like this, and just take your time pressing down. And there we go, the model is fully built. The fourth miniature we're going to make is Shiok Kanothi Tracker, and this miniature starts out with part 20 and goes through to 23. So first of all we need number 20, and on our frame that is this quite strangely shaped part just down here. So I'll start out by cutting this one out. First of all, cutting in front of that leg, then just on the body, and then we do have a little peg just there, so be careful with that third cut just there. Then for the base we've got two more pegs to be careful of. First of all, cutting beneath that one there, and then beneath this one just here. And there we go. So then we need part 21. That is over here, that's the upper part of the body. So we need to cut next to this hoof just here, and then very carefully through there. And then we've got two more points. So this one at the front of the hair, so just there, and then on the side of the body, just there. So now we can put these two parts together, and for this what we need to do is just angle it so that they're kind of going sideways in. So you see we've got the peg there which goes into that hole there, and this presses in there like that. So that done, we then need to cut out the sword, and that is part number 22. That is this one right here. So let's cut this one out as well. First of all, snipping at the back of the blade, so just there. Then on top of this shoulder pad, so right there. And then we've got two more on the back of the arm, so just there, and then we've got there as well, and there we go. So that's the sword removed. Now this goes sideways into the main assembly, so you can see we've got that peg coming out the shoulder there. This goes on there like that, and then you just got to press it so it's fitting flush, and there we go. The last thing to do then is to cut out the base, and this is number 23. This is the last of the larger ones, so this one with the little pool on there. So we're going to cut this one out as well. First of all, cutting through just there, and that point there, and finally this one down here. And there we go. So now we just need to position the miniature into this. Now the two holes in there actually go towards the front of the base. So make sure you get both of them lined up carefully like this, and then press down again by the detail on the base. So you see I'm pushing down there like that so as not to damage anything. And there we go. The model is fully built. The final miniature we need to assemble is Lighane, which uses parts 24 through to 26. First of all, we need 24 and 25, which is both halves of the body. So we'll start by cutting those out, beginning with number 24 down here. So first of all, cutting just beneath that peg right there. And then we've got two more on the back of the body. So one there, and this one just down here. And there we go. So then we can move on to the other half of the body. That is number 25 up here, so this one. So we're going to cut there first of all, then above the tail, so just there. And we've got this one above the hair there, and finally one beneath the foreleg just down here. And there we go. So now we can put both these two parts together. Now you see there's two holes in the back there, so there's two pegs on the other side of the body. All you've got to do is line them up like that, and then press together. And there we go. With that done, all we need to do is cut out the last part, which is the base, part number 26. So that is this one in the top corner on the frame. So we'll cut this one out now. Once again, we've got three contact points on the base to cut through. So just there, and finally down there. And there we go. Now for this base, the hole actually goes towards the front. And in fact, you can see some of the toes of the paw just down there. So these will line up with that foreleg, like that. Then all you've got to do is press it down. And there we go. The final model is complete. And there we are, Skaeth's Wild Hunt is fully built and ready to hunt down the evil that threatens the Beastgrave. So when you're building these miniatures, there's a few key things to remember. The first is that you should always make sure you read the instructions before you cut out any of the parts. And when you are cutting out the parts, only cut out the ones that you need when you need them to make sure you don't get them all confused or any of them lost. But that's really all you need to know, so we really hope that you have fun building your miniatures and of course playing with them. And we'll see you all again very soon.